Okay, we should be live streaming here soon. Just giving it a minute to load up, I think, online.
Okay, sounds good. Can you hear the church bells going on this end?
No, no. Is it the top of the hour? I guess it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, our new place has a church like right there that rings every quarter hour.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You can hear that. Are you in your house?
Hmm.
Great. Oh, this is cool. So you can hear church bells from your home. That's really how cool. Well, I'm here. I think it's 2 o'clock right now, and I'm here with Melinda Simon, who is from Spirit Juice Studios, and we're going to just talk a little bit about the development of this Joined by Grace DVD. So we're excited that Linda was just asking when it's shipping out. It's shipping out today, and there's all kinds of components, of course, that go along with it. Books for program directors, for mentor couples, for engaged couples. I've got them all laying around here in my office. But we wanted to talk a little bit to you about the DVD and the video portion of this project. It was such a pleasure working with Spirit Juice Studios. I think everyone here was just overjoyed with with picking your organization and the work that you did. Just took our breath away every time we had something new. So Melinda, why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us about you, and then we'll get into Spirit Juice Studios in just a moment.
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to say it was totally mutual. You guys were just the best to work with in this program. Like it really, for me personally, and just for the office, it was one of our favorites. It was a pleasure working with you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah, so sure. So my name, as you said, is Melinda Simon, now newly Simon. And I have been working in film for the last several years, probably like 5 years. I went to John Paul the Great Catholic University. That's where I got my undergrad, which is a private Catholic school that focuses on media and entrepreneurial business while also doing a good formation in theology. So yeah, I was lucky enough to go there and it was a great experience. And then I started working for Spirit Juice like, I think a little over 3 years ago. And yeah, can I go into what Spirit Juice is?
Yeah, let's hear. Yeah, tell us about Spirit Juice Studios a little bit more.
Cool. Yeah, so Spirit Juice Studios is a video production studio. We're based out of Chicago, although we work all over the place. And we are niche and kind of our focus is on Catholic media.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just it's an amazing place, and the programs and the videos that we get to work on are just incredible. The founder, Rob, and my boss is a great guy. He's like super creative, and he saw this need to just kind of in Catholic media, Christian media, but especially Catholic media, this real lack or kind of gap between the quality of where media is otherwise and where Catholic media was. And so he said, well, we got to do something about this. And it started as just like a little seed of a studio and then has grown over the last 10 years to be, what it is today. So
That's awesome.
I love it. I mean, yeah, it's great. We get to go all over and film and meet amazing people and work with people like you. So it's great.
Yeah, one of the things we were really excited that we were able to find a Catholic organization to do that. We could have hired, anybody, but we really were so, blessed to have an organization that had a Catholic mission, a big focus on not just video in general, quality video, but more, how can we do this and help serve the church at the same time? Can you give us a sense of some of the other projects? I mean, you helped us with this marriage preparation DVD. Some of the other projects you've worked on over the years as a company.
Sure. So recently, over the summer, we went to World Youth Day with the Knights of Columbus, and we basically covered World Youth Day as a day-by-day event. So that was like a huge, really incredible experience, just seeing that up close and personal. And we followed this group of college knights who was going through the whole experience, the whole pilgrimage. We've worked on another sacrament prep program for younger kids, like confession and Eucharist prep that was incredible. That was like a several-month program. We've done so many promos for Catholic events and organizations. I would say our specialty, really kind of our bread and butter, is doing personal interviews with people as well as sort of promotion material. So hearing people's stories and then just presenting those in a light that really shows their faith, but also shows them as like real people.
Yeah, I want to get to that in a minute because I think we were just blown away by the. I mean, people probably assume that video production is all about the shooting and the video, but I'm sure it's the editing. I mean, you'd probably say the editing is what makes the difference with these projects you're working on.
Yeah, so they say that in film or media at all, a story is written three times:
Yeah.
pre-production, production, and in the edit. And the edit really is, I mean, just the final time that you craft the story. And it's, I mean, it's really intimidating when you first start and you have all this amazing footage. Like, for example, on Joined by Grace, you know, you have hours, hundreds of hours of footage, and then you have to sit down and say, okay, what is this going to be? Like, what is this puzzle going to look like? What are we going to trim out and what are we going to keep?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's what we were so amazed and just the organic process that we had going back and forth and seeing what you were creating, and then that helped influence the books that we were working on, and vice versa. So we really, yeah, I want to get back to that in just a minute, but just to get back to Spirit Juice in general, and I think that mission. I mean, I remember last November it was NCYC, and I think you all had a booth maybe close by Ave's booth, and you were, I mean, you had a photo booth, and just the number of young kids that were there. Happy, excited, and maybe that's just a specific story, but just tell us about that and why would you do something like that? It seems like, you know, it's silly, but I'm sure it paid off in bringing about that Catholic mission.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, you should know that all of us who work at Spirit Juice are like, we're just basically overgrown kids.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah, it's great.
So, any chance we get to do something fun or crazy, we're like, yeah, it's for the Catholic Church. It's for media.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did a slow-mo booth. We brought a Red Epic, which is like this enormous camera, very powerful. Like they use it on all kinds of huge movies. And the specialty is that it does slow-mo really, really well. And so we created this booth. It was like, I think it was like 12 by 14 feet. And basically kids would come, and adults would come into the booth and then do something really crazy, like make a really fast motion. And we had all kinds of props and like confetti and silly string that we got taken away from us because it got too messy. And then you film them and it's like, it takes like 5 seconds, but then you play it back in crazy, crazy slow-mo. And like people look insane. People look totally ridiculous. And then each night of NCYC, which is like a 3-day event, we had one of our editors is like a maniac. He's so fast at editing. So he would take all of this footage, like 20 hours of footage, and cut together a little 3-minute slow-mo video and show it each night so the kids could kind of see themselves.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was just so fun to watch and see like the smiles on kids' faces, and you know we were able to see so much of the great work you did. You know, here in the building, but to see you out in the world doing the great things as well. It was just kind of a fun little sight to see.
Yeah. Oh, and I guess I should mention why we were doing it.
Yeah.
We were partnering with CYF USA, who sponsors scholarships to go to NCYC.
Oh, that's cool.
And so basically they were in the booth next to us and they were passing out materials. They had some branding in the booth. And so it kind of was a good marriage to like get their name out there and get kids like familiar with them while having this awesome time.
That's awesome. And I want to give the impression that you guys are all just fun and games. You actually do, like we know, like I've said, great work. And you won an Emmy, isn't that correct, Spirit Juice?
Yeah.
Tell us about that and how that came about.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, so we won an Emmy. I think it was, it was last year. And it was for a project that honestly we almost didn't do. We know this friar. We've worked with him before, who's a skateboarding monk. That's like his thing. And he's also an amazing singer, we found out. So he lived in Australia at the time. His order sent him to Australia and he was coming to the States. And so he was like, hey, we should do another video. And things were insane. Things were so crazy for us at the studio at that time. And so we were like, okay, we'll try. We're not sure if the schedule's going to work out. And then we just did it. We did like I think it was a 2 or 3 day shoot. Just took this friar and he skateboarded all over Chicago. Like we went to this waterfall mountain area, filmed him skating there. And then he sang, I think it was, Ave Maria, or no, I'm sorry. Oh, Salve Regina. I'm thinking Ave Maria right now.
Right.
And we had the composer we work with, we had him compose this like beautiful epic score to go with it. I mean, the video, it was great. It came together really amazingly because we had all these different talents just kind of converging. And there was no like directive at the end. It was just this really cool cultural piece of this monk who's incredible at skateboarding and incredibly holy and an incredible singer. And it just floated out there. And then, yeah, we got nominated for an Emmy. And then we won, and we were all totally blown away. We were just like, what? Like, are you sure?
That's great. How does that even work? Did the Emmy people call you and say, hey, you've been nominated for an Emmy? I mean, what was that like?
Yeah. So you can submit, I mean, as many things as you want.
Right.
And then there's like tons of people who submit, and then they contact you when you get nominated. So
wow.
That in itself, when we got nominated, we were like, and then when we won, it was crazy.
What was the category? Is there like categories or something that defines?
Yeah, I think it was so long ago, but I think it was like arts and culture or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, sorry, but we just actually got nominated 2 days ago for 2 more for this year.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, we were so thrilled.
Good. Oh, I'm not very surprised because, like I said before, it's really amazing what you've done. Let's talk a little bit about Joined by Grace, and that it was about a year ago that you were filming and going all around. I think maybe to start back up a little bit, when we were looking, we knew we had John and Terry Bozzio, who are the authors of the books, and we had a pretty good idea of the content, what we wanted to do with the books and what the program in general, kind of the structure. And we also knew we had to have a video component. And we were very clear from the beginning, we didn't want to have like a talking head kind of teacher about the things that people should know about marriage. We really wanted to have more of a focus on testimony, stories. As you said before, that's really where your bread and butter, like being able to hear the stories of people through interviews. And that's what impressed us the most, I think, about, your vision for what the project would be and what you would bring to the table. And like I said before, we were just kind of blown away by the quality because maybe you can walk us through the process of what it took. You said before with the skateboarding monk, you were doing like a 2-day shoot. Well, you were going out and you were meeting with these couples that are featured in the DVD, and you were filming them. What was that like? What were you doing with them?
Sure. That was the most incredible part. It really was a privilege to work on it and to meet these people. I would say, just to back it up, just from where you left off a little bit from your end, when you guys came to us, we were so impressed that you guys, just how much you knew what you wanted, and we were impressed with what you wanted, because that's what we do as Catholic media. And so to hear you guys talking about wanting something organic and something where you really hear from people's experience, that just resonated so much with us. And so, we were like, when we heard that, we were like, this is something we want to do. This is something that we're really passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, we didn't have actors, we didn't have scripts, we didn't, we had general ideas of what things we wanted, especially the experts to talk about, the couples to talk about. But really, I mean, you took that and ran with it, and kind of your creative process is what drove the interview, as I think.
Yeah, and I just think we were so blessed to have you guys, because that is what you did. I mean, you sent us the program as it was in kind of the concept form, and you explained, the feel. And I know we spent so much time talking about that feel and the energy that you guys wanted. And so I felt like going into the casting real people process, we knew what we wanted. We knew that we wanted something that was totally authentic and totally experience-based, because you guys had this written program that had so much deep content. And I just loved that you guys based it off of the sacraments. I just thought that was so wise and so in line with what the church is doing right now, what Pope Francis is asking us to do. So I thought then to combine that really solid theological material with an experience-based video, it was brilliant. It was genius, and it's exactly what the church needed, I think.
Let me ask you about that. I was kind of curious, just watching some of the chapters that came back to us. I mean, what were some of the questions that you were asking the couples as you were out there on location? Because so many of the answers, I mean, were great, and it wasn't like they were, structured. They were just talking and they were smiling, and the couples were sharing stories, but somehow, we got to where we are now, which is just these really relevant and important topics. So what was the shooting like with these couples?
Yeah, it was amazing. It was I would almost call it sacred. Like it was so special to get to interview these people. And I think part of that comes from the fact that these couples are married Catholic couples, which means they are a sacrament. Maybe that's not proper
No, yeah,
theological
yeah, yeah.
terminology, but they're sharing this real sacrament. And so to be asking them questions, and I mean, we spent a lot of time developing the questions and going back and forth between Ave Maria and us, but I don't think it was like, oh, we asked such brilliant questions, and so that's why the video is good. No, I think it's because these couples were just sharing so authentically, and we were so blessed to get couples who would share authentically and didn't try to sugarcoat things. They were just really honest about things, and I think, I mean, that's what resonates with me in any media I'm absorbing. If it's authentic, if it's coming from a real human experience, it resonates with me. And I think honestly, we were just blessed, and we worked really hard to get couples who would be authentic and would be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that we had basically had some tryout, just to give a little more background. We had some tryout videos, essentially, or test screenings, if you will. And we all kind of looked at those and picked some couples. And the people that we went with really were incredible. Tell us a little bit about the setup. I remember a friend of mine, one of the guys that featured in the video, just saying how he was kind of geeking out on all the technology and the things that you guys had all brought. What did it look like in someone's living room? These were their houses usually. I mean, these were the actual places where they lived. It wasn't like a set by any means. It was just, you kind of invaded into their homes, right? And
Right.
started
Yeah.
filming.
And that was really intentional. I know we had gone through talking about like, oh, do we want to create a set, or do we want to, rent a cool looking apartment for them or whatever. And then we decided together, no, we want this to be real. We want this to just be like, we're in these people's homes and we want them to look like they're comfortable. And it just worked out perfectly because the couples were comfortable. You turn the camera around, it would be a little ridiculous. I mean, there's 3 cameras the size of, like, I don't even know, a desk, wires going everywhere, and everybody's mic'd up. And yeah, it's funny looking through the camera versus, the reverse angle and seeing 4 people filming and asking questions. But I think it really speaks to the quality of the couples, that they weren't intimidated by it. They just kind of ran with it.
I should have asked this earlier, but how many people are on the team, and what does a team look like at Spirit Juice? I mean,
Sure. So it's, I would say every shoot looks a little different. There's 4 full-time employees, 2 part-time employees, and then we have a whole handful, or kind of a whole Rolodex of freelancers that we work with, who are super, super talented people who will come on a shoot-by-shoot basis. And then the 4 of us in-house will be editing and also shooting, and kind of wearing a lot of different hats.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. So so not everyone's flying all over the place all the time, but you're able to
Oh, well,
balance it out.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So who are the people that are doing the editing then? So like you said before earlier, that you had hours and hours of footage, and I don't know, I don't want to underscore the challenge I'm sure you had, where you had many different couples, many different stories. I mean, were you taking notes along the way, or were you watching from beginning to end everything they said and just trying to put it in different places? How did that work?
Yeah, no, that's a really insightful question. So most of us on staff do edit, and we were really intentional about the way we edited this program, because it was so complex, because we had 5 couples, 4 experts, and 24 chapters, or whatever it was. And each section needed to have a very specific direction. Like, we didn't just want it to be people speaking randomly. It was very intentional. And so as the producer, another person, Greg, edited, and he did an amazing job. And that was a real help as a producer, to have someone else editing it, just to kind of have that fresh set of eyes. Since I was there for all the interviews and all the B-roll, it was really helpful to have someone else kind of like parsing that out, and then we could collaborate. Greg and I could collaborate and say, like, okay, we need these pieces, and put those together. So I think the direction really came from from our conversations with you guys, saying, okay, this is how we want the chapters to match up with the book, and this is how we want it to not be repetitive, but how we want it to support what we're teaching in the book, what we're teaching each week. And so you guys gave us so much freedom to then create a chapter or a session, or however you want to term that, which would then support what they were reading and kind of give real life examples. So I'll take the kind of the most general, like if you were reading a chapter on communication, we would create a video that was perhaps the couples talking about challenges in communication, and not just general challenges, but their specific challenges, which I think is where it really hits home. Is like, oh, this is a real challenge that person experienced, and ours is going to be different, but here's some tools to work through that.
Yeah, I know I found many of the stories. I mean, I've been married for a number of years now, but I definitely could relate to so many of the things that they were saying, and it made it so real, as opposed to, just a couple of people trying to talk as if they were perfect married couples. They really were sharing, real life stories, challenges that they'd gone through. Yeah. So when you're putting a chapter together, I mean, you're grabbing this clip and that clip, and then you're throwing in some music. And you mentioned B-roll. Maybe you can explain to people who may not know what that is, what B-roll is, and what's that creative process like for you?
Sure. It's challenging and wonderful. I mean, that's what we love to do. It really is a puzzle. So B-roll is basically any footage that's not part of the interview. So anything that's like a couple doing something together, or laughing together, or just walking around. It's kind of the footage that goes over the top that in my opinion, keeps things really compelling. Because like you said, just watching talking heads, even if it's real couples, if that's all the video is, it gets a little bit dry. So B-roll kind of helps liven it up. And in a lot of cases, like we tried to do, in this, was create B-roll that in some symbolic way, we're very artsy, so in some symbolic way kind of supports what they're saying.
Yeah, there's some of the couples riding bikes, they're on the beach, they're walking along the river. There's, I think just the shots of people's homes. It was really cool to see, a couple talking, sharing a story, and then about like his grandmother, and then to see a picture of his grandmother. Like I don't know, that, like you said, maybe there was a sacred experience. Just thinking that through and being able to make it real and authentic, and not just the person talking, but you were seeing things on the screen that were reminding you of what people were saying. I thought that was so incredible.
Thanks. Yeah, totally. I mean, in some small way, like 5%, I think we were kind of trying to prove like they're real people, like this is real what they're talking about, and just to kind of bring the viewer into that experience of like, you feel like you're in this person's home. You see the drawings that their kids do of a cross or a frog or whatever. So thank you for mentioning that.
That's great. And I'm just curious, how does the music come in? I was curious about those other kind of choices, things that I wouldn't even know, or I don't think we would even know where to go for that. You said you had a composer that you work with for some of these things. I mean, maybe not for this, but others.
Yeah. I don't remember. I don't think the composer we work with did anything for this. He might have done he didn't do the trailer. Yeah. But there's all kinds of music licensing services. We have a couple that we go to, and one in particular that's they just have really quality stuff. I mean, artists that you would hear on the radio. We've done a music video with one of the artists on there. So we just kind of poured through that. And I think that's where it helps to be, I can't remember if artistic is right-brained or left-brained. It's because I'm artistic.
I think right, but that's it. There you go. Either one.
Yeah. But anyway, that's where it helps to be that brained, is because it's just kind of something you have to feel. You watch the cut that you have, and then you listen to pieces, and it's just kind of like either it works or it doesn't, and it clicks. You either know or you don't.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I know you were preparing to get married here recently, as you mentioned before. Before you were down, you were talking about how you finally changed your name, and then all those things that come with the changes. Anything that you found particularly insightful while watching these couples or making the videos that you thought was helpful for you in your own personal marriage?
Oh, totally. My husband says thank you to you guys, because I don't know if I would have said yes if it hadn't been for this program.
Well, I don't know about that. That's really quite a statement, but thanks.
It might be a little much, but no, I I really saw Providence's hand in bringing this project at this time. So I was just dating. I was just in a dating relationship when this project started, and then I kind of got thrown in as the main producer and director on it. Not thrown in. I chose to do it. I really wanted to do it. But going through that process of putting it together, of interviewing all of these couples, of hearing the experts, reading the chapters that had been written, I mean, it 100% impacted my perception of marriage, and my readiness to get married. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. I was never super eager to get married, and I think doing this program, putting it together and seeing like firsthand, just honestly how awesome marriage is. Like, that's what I got from putting this program together, is marriage is awesome. Marriage can be so awesome. And it is.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I know, please everyone go watch the trailer. I was trying to get a way to show this better while we're on this call, but the trailer is on our YouTube channel on Facebook as well. I watched it again this morning. It just gives me chills every time I watch. I get excited as well, and it's been such a pleasure to watch the DVD and to have that as a component. Melinda, what's coming up for Spirit Juice, or what can you tell us about from here?
Sure. So we have a lot coming up. We're doing it's just constantly filming. We're working with the NFCYM on they're coming out with a new huge program. Basically, it's a large conference they're going to be doing all over the country for junior high students. And we're doing, I would say, if not all, we're doing almost all of the media for that. So all the videos that are shown throughout the conference. They just had the first one in Chicago, and it was amazing. It was really incredible. So we're doing that.
I actually saw that on the social media. Yeah, it was a pretty big event. That's great.
Yeah, it was amazing. So we're working a lot with the Knights of Columbus, going all over the place, filming different events for them. There should be, I don't want to speak out of turn, but there should be something coming out about our trip to World Youth Day in the near future. And oh my gosh, I don't even know. There's so many. I can't even remember what else is coming out.
Well, if they want to find out about Spirit Juice, spiritjuicestudios.com, is that right? Or where did they go? Yeah. Or just Google Spirit Juice Studios. Things will come up. Yeah. Melinda, thanks so much for spending a little bit of time. I think I had my own personal questions. I wanted to know more about the program, and it was just kind of cool to hear the stories about the development and the process along the way. Thanks for everything you guys are doing for the church, and thanks for everything you've done for us.
Thanks, Jared. Yeah, it's a real honor.
Okay. All right, everybody. God bless. Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Melinda.
Thanks.